Hi.
Hello, James Daniel, and this is Zafira, and we're coming from love. And we were talking about it a couple of ways today, and we're going to conclude our subject here with a short meditation on it. And so relax. I mean, not that you're not relaxed. Relax more, and let go of thinking about anything. I need this. I got to have this. I want this power of love in my life. I need to get this get this wagon out of the mud. Relax about all of that. Love's got it in
Can
control.
I say, anyway, we need a burning desire anyway, a little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
So Farah wants burning desire.
Yes.
For what?
For love.
For love?
Yes.
Okay, if you haven't got a burning desire for love, then you had damn well better summon one up.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think circumstances of our lives give us a burning desire for that which will transform our life into something we could just have a sense of joy about, a sense of, oh yes, this is living, this is great, this is just what I want. And a burning desire for that in your world is a burning desire for love itself, because that's what will do that.
Yeah.
So rather than conjure up a burning desire for love, let's connect to our own inner burning desire in the heart for that life which love will give us when we surrender the negativity that obstructs it in us. It will. By the way, it will. And come soon or come late, it will. And we don't talk about karma much. We don't talk about a bunch of thoughts and philosophies, reincarnation, karma. We can, and I'm happy to do it. I just don't try to impose those theories and ideas on top of people's already struggle with love. This is a difficult subject, and let's don't burden it by forcing people to believe in things. But there is that resistance in life which comes with karmic past. We are responsible for what we've done in the past, whether it's this memorable lifetime or whether there are previous experiences that we've been involved in that carry forward into this lifetime, which is what the whole concept of reincarnation and karma delivered to our doorstep. It doesn't matter. There is that which resists our life in ways that we don't understand. Why is it so hard?
Let's start with the meditation. When I mention burning desire, is this focus.
Well, go ahead.
Intentional focus.
Yeah, lead us into that.
Okay. No, you're doing it. Just.
You're good at it. You're much better at it than you think. Okay, so focus ourselves in that burning desire for the life to just experience love, for our lives to experience love, the energy of love, that creative power in the universe which transforms and transmutes and releases all negativity into a flowering or a blossoming of release to a sense of peace and purpose and cooperation with others. And it washes away and transforms and transmutes all of that negative resistance, all that anger, all that frustration against things that have harmed us, justifiable resentment. They actually did harm us, the bastards. All of that melts away because they have their own journey, and their own journey will leave them fully realized in love at the appropriate moment, that they surrender to it, that their own desire for love is greater than their holding on to anger or frustration or resentment or hatred or anything. Just they let it go, we let it go, love transforms and transmutes it, no problem, and we suddenly find ourselves being elevated into the condition of grace, the condition of love itself. So that's the opening. And that's the magnetic power that releases this beautiful white energy that just flows down in. And it's white because it has the transformation and transmutational power in it to change energy into light. There is no other energy than love. There's only energy bent and distorted into something that isn't radiant with love. And when you unbend it, when you take the distortion out, when you release it to love's transformation and transmutation, it simply starts to unfold like origami back into the origin of itself, back into love itself, because it is the creative power of the universe, and there isn't anything else unless we bend it into it and form something that's not love or doesn't appear to be love. So release that in, and it comes right down the center of our will. The will that is the will to good itself. The will to be, the will to good, and the will to know. These all come out of the nature of the spirit of love. The spirit of love has the willingness to be, which is the creative power. It has the willingness to love, which is that power that connects everything and raises it towards perfection with each other, not just with ourselves. But our perfection can only really flower when it is in connection to all other perfections, especially and starting with the human race. When we all are perfecting ourselves in the human race, then the human race itself begins to demonstrate a perfection in relationship to the other kingdoms. And then those kingdoms, in their synthetic embrace of perfection with love, begin to radiate a planetary perfection. And on perfection unfolds into the universe until we have one glorious, radiant perfection in love, in which your individuality, the one you have right now in your awareness doing this, still persists. It persists in love and no other place, which is why the apparent illusion of its non-persistence, when the animal nature dies and we have to leave its sheath, leave its body and move on, we don't know, is that the end of us, or is that the beginning of us, or is that just a continuation of us to a new phase of experience? Love will give you the answer to that, along with the angel of death, at the appropriate moment. I'm not going to project. I'm projecting the receptivity of love, because that's my best answer. My best answer is to expand this love in us and keep it synthesizing in us. This is a meditation, which means that we're rising up into the higher levels of our own awareness. Now, that doesn't mean the higher levels of your separate mind. That's a brain event, just as your feelings are a feeling event. We're rising up through all of that to a higher level of that, to a place that is common to all minds, common to all energies, and common to all events. And so let's hold that sense of awareness, and let's keep that going for a few moments, and let it become expansive beyond your intellect, beyond your feelings, into a common group shared field in which love is the predominant energy. It is the energy that everyone's sharing in intuitive mind, that everyone is sharing in the sensation of love. It doesn't have separations and barriers in it. It's just open to it. Your own individuality has everything necessary in it, built into it, to keep it in balance against or with all other energies around it, without interfering with harmony or love or spirit or any other energetic. You just stay where you are based on your evolutionary moment, and you're fine. And it's all working with you because love balances all. So relax into that sense of peace and let it come down into the human experience that you have. That's just one part of our experience. This human nature is only one part of our experience. And we're now opening it up to love flowing into and through it as an energy that can connect us to each other in its own world. But through a reciprocal arrangement with love, you can enter into the worlds in which love predominates and recognize yourself in those worlds as you begin to recognize love in this one, this human world. And then we begin to see how it penetrates into the other worlds below us, animal, plant, human, mineral. All of these kingdoms need love, this energy. And every kingdom above serves the kingdom below it. We serve the animal kingdom. We don't force its service upon us. That's a reciprocal arrangement which we need to have some balance in. We need to realize that it's okay for dogs, cats, horses to be domesticated and brought into relationship to a kingdom they little understand or know how to relate to, but we can benefit them by helping them generate greater maturity. That doesn't mean we need to kill them and eat them. That's a struggle we're working on in ourselves. And the plant kingdom, that's a different situation, because the plant kingdom is not as invested in individual life as animals are. It doesn't bother them to grow corn and have us harvest it and eat it. They're happy to nourish the kingdom that feeds from them, because that kingdom can feed love to them from its own lofty, self-aware position. We don't know what all that means because we have never taken the time to think about it, to actually enter into a sense of responsibility to mature the animal kingdom, to mature the plant kingdom. And how in the hell would we mature the mineral kingdom? Except that we're doing it all the time. We're refining ore, we're perfecting gemstones, we're demonstrating chemical process, and that's having an effect on that entire kingdom. We're blowing it up, we're melting it, we're burning it. To the mineral kingdom, that all has effect. And some of that effect, I'm certain, is positive and evolutionary and beneficial. But we're a long ways away from thinking about how that is positive, beneficial. We're just doing it. Just as we're eating a lot of chickens, which doesn't necessarily mean it's the right approach to our relationship to them. So, no judgment about any of these things, because we're talking about love here. We're not talking about what's right or what's wrong. There are no rights or wrongs. There's only conditions of experience and choices we're making in love to bring love into ourselves and then let it go through ourselves and touch other beings so that we can be informed if there's a different way to relate that might be more satisfying to ourselves. Not them. That's a different satisfaction. But would be more satisfying to ourselves to relate to the animal, plant, and mineral kingdoms. And then would be more satisfying in how we relate to kingdoms that may or may not be above us or within us. Angelic kingdoms, should they exist, would probably like to relate positively and constructively to the human kingdom. And love would be the only energy through which that could be accomplished. So we're opening this up into the energy of love in the hope that it will advance our sense of unity, not just with each other and these kingdoms that are obvious to us, but the inner kingdoms that open up in the invisibility, current invisibility, but they're not invisible to love at all. There may be a wholeness to the full envelope of livingness in the cosmic physical universe through the levels of energies of spirit and love and physicality and mentality, that once you open them all up, it's like, oh, that's much better. That breathes the whole thing, and all the independent, creative beings that live in and out of different states of solidity or liquidity or energetic life, they're all doing fine. And whatever's living in the heart of the sun, beings that are being born and expressing and creating, we don't know anything about any of that. That doesn't mean it's not going on. And if it is, we might as well be in positive relationship to it. And if we open up into love, at some point, we will be. Just keep that opening going with no barriers, no resistances. Let the energy enter. It's been around since day one. So there's no point in our thinking that we're going to do something drastically new. It's only new to our awareness. And given what we're doing with the awareness without it, given the reputation love has, I don't see that it could be harmful. At least nothing like what we're doing without it. So let's practice. And also expect and respect that whatever it asks us to do with it is according to its own inner sense of rightness and wrongness. We can't violate laws of love. Through our relationship with it, we must respect them. We must let it do what it does without trying to make it do things we want it to. That's silly to think that we can do it. It's only going to obey its own laws, as we are, as animals do, as plants do. Just let that grow for a few minutes. Now, when you look up into the center of that energy which is coming in, try to sense the livingness of it. Try to sense its inquiry, its presence. Presence is real, and you know it when it comes into the room with you. It's aware of you. That doesn't mean it's imposing anything on you. It's aware. You walk into a room with someone who has great presence, and they become aware of you. If it's a guru, if it's Elvis, just someone. Someone has awareness of the environment around them. Love has awareness of itself, of those things greater than itself, and of those things that are not yet conscious of it. It has awareness. You have awareness. So look within the light. There's the light, and then there's the light within the light, and then believe me, there is light within that light. And awareness penetrates all of that and exists in its own zone. That's where relationship is. Relationship is in the awareness. Because we don't know ourselves fully. We can't know what our relationship is fully. But we don't know love fully. That's how relationship starts. It always starts with unknown. And it grows. As we grow into love, we grow into our own awareness of ourself in love. It has understandings of us that we don't yet possess. And it's happy to reveal them because it has a relationship with us, with the whole human race. Let that be okay with you. Let that unfold a little bit with the energy that's coming in, and begin to relax and realize love's not here to hurt you. It doesn't need to. It has no need to harm. It has no need to release any destructive energies. It's a creative power. And as you look within to the presence of love, you can begin to sense, depending on who you are and what your senses are about, you can begin to sense somewhat of the presences that live within love. Presences that are other than our own. It's like looking out into the universe and the universe is looking back in at us. And you see all of these presences looking in, and you wonder, what's all that? Don't assume any, unless you want to. Just look. Look and receive. There is this anxiety in us that if we look and recognize and receive relationship, that we're opening ourselves to something that may harm us. I'm acknowledging that in each of you and each of myself. We have that anxiety in us. We think if we keep our head down, ignore everything around us, we can walk through a den of thieves and they'll ignore us, and we can walk in one door and out the other. I'm just here to serve the pizza. Thank you very much. See you later. I don't really want to know what you're about in here, what you're doing in here. That's a practical way of passing through life. I'm just here to cross the border. Here's my passport. Thank you very much. Don't want to know. That's not the world of love. That's not how it works. We have to, at somewhere in ourselves, be able to relax that. I didn't say drop your guard. Be aware. Be skeptical of all things. But you have to relax and let the environment inform you of itself. And breathe in some of the energy of love. And realize that those things that live in love do so because they have surrendered to love completely. And we're not interacting with them. We're interacting with love itself. But we're not eliminating that which lives in love. We're observing that it's there. That's all. That's it. Love is too big to be just personal to you alone. It's personal to everything that lives. Which doesn't mean you have to interact with everything in love. You don't. Free will is always the law in love. So be with love alone, and the rest will come as it does. Our concern is letting it in and letting it through the emotional to radiate its true light out through us, not alter it by our emotional conditioning, and let it through the mind and radiate out as love in the mind, love in our persona, love in our physical. Just be with it and trust the source that gives love to the universe, the divine in us. It's way, way beyond our personal problems. Has no interest in them whatsoever, except that they be well, be with love, be creative, constructive, and evolve properly. Now, do you want to add anything?
No, it was so calm. And,
All right, yeah, no, calm is good.
Opening. It's amazing.
Keep that,
Yeah.
hold it, practice it. If we don't bring it in and we don't let ourselves discriminate the difference between love and the things in us that are not love, that are conditions of energy as force. An energy is an energy. And if you convert that energy to a specific purpose, then you have a force. Anger is a force, a qualified energy, as are many others. All emotions are qualified. We're taking unqualified. It's not just unconditional love, where we're not imposing anything on anyone else, but love. We're letting them just be in our love. This is love unconditioned, just the way it comes to us, untouched.